I'm in a terrifying situation that already has
Yeah.
everybody's nervous system escalated. I'm in rental gear. We don't speak the same language. One of the deadliest mountains in the world. It has a reputation. I had to go do it twice. The first time I
Mhm.
did it, a teammate of mine died in an avalanche.
I'm Becky Brower, and I'm a Sendy Mom. Welcome to the Sendy Mom Podcast. Welcome to 2026. This is the official start of season 2 for the Sendy Mom Podcast. Thank you for supporting this project and listening, sharing, and being a part of the Sendy community. I am looking forward to some great conversations this year, as well as deep dives into some of the most Sendy women in history. I started this project because I wanted to know how people are brave and what that really means. Thanks for being part of this journey with me. Jenn is super Sendy, raising 7 children as a single mother and climbing the tallest mountains in the world to earn world records is no small feat. She has a special offer for you at the end of this podcast, so be sure to listen to the end to get the thing that helps Jenn stay calm through all of the storms. As we grow a community of Sendy women, I hope you feel connected more than ever so you can feel supported in what Mary Oliver calls your one wild and precious life. What is your plan to just send it this year? For more ideas, go to sendymom.com. And now wait until you hear my conversation with Jenn Drummond. You will be inspired. Welcome to the Sendy Mom Podcast. I am super excited to be here with Jenn Drummond, and I do not know you really that well. So I'm super excited to get to know you. We got in touch through a mutual friend. We met Beau Parfait and his wife Meredith. We were working out together, and I just mentioned about my podcast, and he said, "Oh my goodness, I have got to get you in touch with my friend Jenn, who is an incredibly Sendy mom." And so I am just excited that we were able to connect, and this is going to be really fun. My guests who do not know Jenn Drummond yet, you will if you don't know her already. She is incredible. She's done some amazing things. So let me just go ahead and read you some of her bio. So she is a world record-setting mountaineer and single mother of 7. After surviving a near-fatal car crash in 2018, she made a life-changing decision to stop checking boxes and start living with purpose. That decision led her to summit Mount Everest and ultimately become the first woman in history to climb the second highest peaks on each of the 7 continents, earning a Guinness World Record. And I did look this up, and the reason why it's the second is because they're probably technically the most difficult climbs to do, right? And you can kind of explain that a little bit more later too. Today, Jenn is sought after speaker. She's the best-selling author of Breakproof and high-performance coach to elite leaders and teams. Through her podcast, Seek Your Summit, transformational keynotes, and resilience-based leadership training, she helps others conquer the mental mountains holding them back and turn success into significance. With the rare combination of business acumen and extreme adventure, Jenn blends boardroom strategy with mountaintop perspective, empowering others to lead with courage, perform under pressure, and achieve what once felt impossible, which is exactly what we do on the Sendy Mom Podcast. We really love to help to empower people to reach their full potential, and that's exactly what you do. So,
I love
welcome.
it. Thank you so much for having me here today. Quite the intro. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
It is. You know, I love these people that inspire me. So thank you for being inspiration for a lot of people. And we're going to dig kind of into your life a little bit. So I know I've listened to some of the episodes that you have on your podcast, and I kind of like to go deep and find out why you became the way that you were. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. So if you could just take a couple minutes and kind of introduce yourself. Tell me maybe where you came from, where you grew up, what your family dynamics were like, how your parents raised you to be resilient or maybe not be resilient.
Yeah. So I grew up in the Midwest. I was born and raised in Michigan. I am the oldest of 3 siblings, there's 3 of us, so I have 2 siblings. And, I had the traditional family. My mom stayed home, my dad traveled for work, and I quickly learned that if I played sports, I didn't have to do chores, and I'd much rather kick a soccer ball than empty the dishwasher. So I was always super athletic, very involved in, I don't know, my mom's high energy, so that transferred to all of us. So it was one activity to the next, which was really fun, and I'm grateful for it.
Yeah. What were some of the things that your mom was passionate about?
We did everything from tennis to sailing to gymnastics to soccer to volleyball to like very pro sports. Not that
Okay.
either of my parents are athletic, but they were very adamant about getting us involved in sports.
Yeah. Has that kind of trickled down to your own children? Are you keep them pretty involved?
I like to. It's just interesting that, each kid's wired a little bit differently. So some of them are more into sports than others. My daughters are actually a little bit more than my sons, but we all ski together. We all surf together. We all hike together. So things like that, but less of the organized like soccer teams or football teams or things like that.
Got it. Okay, so soccer was kind of your main sport.
Yes.
Did you do a lot of that in when you were in high school growing up? And tell me a little bit about maybe some of the successes that you found.
Yeah, no, soccer was my favorite. And I think as a kid, you kind of pick your favorite sport because you like your coach so much.
Right?
So I
Yeah.
really loved my soccer coach, and he thought the world of me, which then made me want to play soccer even more and practice and all the different things. I played in high school, I played in college. And then, when college is done, you kind of hang up the cleats.
If your kids have somebody there that is supporting them and that really is passionate and loves what they're doing, it encourages them so much more to take an interest in that.
100%. Like I think that is so contagious when the sport coach or the mentor is super geeked about the thing. You can't help but catch on to that enthusiasm.
For sure, for sure. So what's maybe a lesson you learned or you didn't learn from your childhood about your identity as somebody who takes risks? Because you certainly take risks now, but did you when you were younger?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know if you ever classify it as a risk as a kid because you don't think about the consequences. You just do the thing. But when it
Right.
came to taking penalty kicks, like I would be the one that volunteer. Okay, I'll take the penalty
Yeah.
kick that the whole game
Uh,
depends on. I don't know if I thought about it as the whole game depending on it. I was just like, I want to take the kick. Let's go. Or in
right.
gymnastics, like practicing and learning how to do those tricks on a balance beam. I look at that now and I'm like, I was crazy. But at that point
Yeah.
in life, you're like, this is what we do. We're in, so I think
Right.
environment plays such an important role on how we perceive things. And so
Hmm.
for me, when you're in an environment that normalizes taking risks, you do it because that's what's normal. When I take risks today, and sure, I might not summit the mountain or something happens, that's just one failure.
Yeah.
There's plenty more failures before that set me up for that position that I can't
Hmm.
blame this one move. It's just that's the
Yeah.
one that gets the highlight reel. And
Yeah.
so like
Exactly.
growing up with that, you just realized you're always failing, right? Like you're failing forward
Yeah.
to any point. And so wherever you stop and whatever you thin slice to see is that experience right then and there. But there was a lot of other moments that built up to that one.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's a learning process. And I was just going to ask you about how you do that, craft that for your children so that they learn to take risks and things like that. But I don't think it's necessarily a crafting thing. It just happens naturally. We're going to try things and we're going to fail at them. And then we just move forward.
Yeah, right?
Take
And
the
like
hit,
and
right?
just acknowledge it. Okay, so
Yeah.
you did bad on this math test. What did you learn? What do you need to do
Yeah.
better so you like more of so you do better next time? And you
Hmm.
just really treat it as this is the experience of being human. It's not good
Yeah.
or bad, and failure's part of it.
Yeah, exactly. And just learning to roll with the punches really. So, okay, so let's talk a little bit about what drove you to start climbing mountains.
Yeah. So I had a near death experience, which I think people have had near death experiences. It's pretty normal to like pivot or do something different. But
Right.
all of us have experiences that are pretty significant. Maybe
Okay.
kids launch off to college, or you get a divorce, or you lose your job, or all of a sudden you get the cancer diagnosis, or whatever that is, that wake up call that makes you realize, oh my gosh, this life isn't forever. if I were to die today, what would my tombstone say? Right? And
Yeah.
so when I was looking at that, I'm like, man, I'm kind of boring. And so when I survived this car accident that I shouldn't have, I started making a list of all the things I wanted to see, do, and experience before my time was up on this planet. And it was
Okay. So,
everything from taste pasta in Italy to swim with whale
okay.
sharks to hike a mountain. Like there was nothing like unique compared to probably most
Hmm.
people's things to do before they die list. And for some
Yeah.
reason, that climb a mountain came to the forefront. And I
Okay.
realized, well, I'm going to climb a mountain when I'm young because it's only going to get harder as I get older. And in our family, we have this motto saying, we do hard things. And
Yeah,
so
we
when
have
my,
a similar one. Yeah, we do.
yay,
Hard is good.
hard
That's our
is good.
motto.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
when my son saw climb a mountain, he challenged me to climb Everest because he's like, Mom, if you're going to climb a mountain, you should climb Everest of all mountains. I'm like,
That's
honey, I haven't slept in a
huge.
tent, but okay, let's figure this out.
Never slept in a tent and you're going to climb Everest. Love it.
Yeah.
You can figure this out. Sure.
Yeah, no. So I called the coach, right? I'm like, well, I'm going to train for
Okay.
Everest. And he's like, yes, I can get you ready. I haven't slept in a tent before. He's like, don't worry. That's a detail. We can work out the details. I'm like, okay, perfect. And so again, like this coach said, hey, this is possible for you. Let's like start building the training plan. And I'm like, okay. And he sent me a book about becoming an uphill athlete because I'd been
Okay.
an athlete, but I hadn't been that one that climbed mountains. And so this was a training plans and just things to be strong about or think about when you're going to be an uphill athlete.
Okay.
And
Uphill athlete. And who wrote that book? I'd love to put that in the show
Stephen House,
notes.
I think, wrote the book.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's like
Cool.
training for the uphill athlete or something with the uphill athlete. And in the front of this book was a story of a lady who got a Guinness World Record. And it was doing
Okay.
something in the Alps. And it was one of those days where it's like, I could have done that. Like I can suffer. I've done
Yeah.
a lot of things. And so when I was talking to my coach, I was kind of venting. And he's like, well, I'll come up with a good Guinness World Record for you. I'm like, okay, sounds good. Because I thought, like, if
Sweet.
I'm in the Guinness World Record books, I'm a cool mom. Because the only book
Right.
I can get my kids to read cover to cover is Guinness World Record books. And so
Yes.
it's kind
And
of
my
like,
kids too. I love it.
yeah. So it's kind of like this jokey, fun thing to start with. And
Yeah.
then he calls me back a few weeks later and he's like, Jen, I have the perfect world record for you. I'm like, okay. He's like, I think you should be the first woman to climb the 7-second summits. I
Oh,
didn't even know what they were. I'm like, the second
yeah.
what? Like 7 what? And he's like, well, it's
Uh-huh.
the second highest point on each of the 7 continents. They're harder than the first 7, and they've never been done by a female. And so he's like, you'd
Wow.
be the first woman in the world. And he goes, think about it, 7 continents, 7 mountains. You have 7 children. It's a jackpot.
Yeah. Oh, I love
Yeah.
it. 7 is complete too, actually. That's like the Hebrew. In Hebrew, 7 means complete. So that's pretty cool too.
Yeah. 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 So I'm like, all right. Then I came home and talked to my kids about it. And before I could even tell them the whole spiel, they were
Uh,
claiming continents of like what continent they were going to be
ah,
responsible for.
that's
And
awesome.
it really taught me accountability is love, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I love that. That's amazing. Okay, so what were you doing before all of before the car crash and all of that?
Yeah.
What's your life look like?
Kind of boring. I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
I was chasing validation from outside of myself and really
Hmm.
just checking boxes on life, right? Okay,
Yeah.
here's what we need for lunches. Here's what everybody's practice schedule is. Everybody's got their dentist appointment. Okay, everything's here. Like it was just really just going through the motions and somewhat surviving, not really
Yeah.
thriving. And then when the car accident happened and I realized, oh my gosh, like what would my kids remember about me? That they got to
Yeah.
school on time and that I, made their lunches every day. I'm like, I want
Hmm.
them to see me thriving. And if they become parents, I don't want them to have like how I'm feeling right now. I want them to live and feel excited and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
Yeah.
the only way they're going to know that is if I demonstrate it.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. And yeah, I found that in my own life too, like it is so good to be a mother. Like it's a divine calling, right? To be a mom. But if your kids are constantly seeing the drudgery, I think it's important for our kids to be able to see that other side of us and that we can be other people too. So I love that. Really good.
yeah.
So you said that when you were ready to accomplish some of these things and you wanted to climb a mountain, right? You went and found a coach. How did you go about doing that?
So I live in Park City, which is a blessing if you want to get into mountaineering because we have lots of mountains here and
Lots of
it's a sport that
mountains.
people participate in. And
Uh-huh.
so I asked people, and then I looked online, and there's a guy named Alan Arnett who I absolutely adore, who was my coach. He reports on all the mountains, on all the big expeditions. Here's what's going on, here's what's up to date, blah, 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 blah. And so then I hired him to work with me to figure out, what expedition company I should go with, what gear I should buy, like all the little details and things like that. And
Hmm.
he really normalized Everest for me. Prior to my son saying, "Hey, you should go climb Everest," I had never met anybody that climbed Everest. And
Okay.
I didn't know anybody that climbed Everest. And so one of the
Uh-huh.
first things this coach did for me, which I thought was amazing, is he introduced me to a few people that climbed Everest. And so when
Okay.
I met these people and we went out to lunch and I went for a hike with them, they were like, "Oh, you can climb Everest." And I'll never forget, I was eating lunch and this guy spilled ketchup on his shirt. I'm like, if that
Uh-huh.
guy spilled ketchup on his shirt and can climb Everest, I spill ketchup on my shirt all the time. I can climb Everest too, right? So it like
Yeah.
normalized this pursuit that before felt so far away.
Right. Yeah. Well, and there's so many things like that. We're just afraid to start, but we can figure out pretty much anything if we, if you find the right resources, if you find the right people to talk to. So,
Oh, yeah. And I
love
mean, I
that.
think environment is so important for whatever we're pursuing.
Well, and as soon as you start doing some of these things, you meet more people that have done other things. I remember I climbed Kilimanjaro with my husband a few years ago, and while we were there, we met a Swiss couple, and she started telling me about riding horses across Mongolia. And so that totally got on my bucket list. I'm like, I gotta do that. That just sounds so cool, right?
Yeah.
So we just talk to people, and you figure out, yes, of course, we can do that. So tell me about some of these mountains that you climbed, and tell me what you learned from some of these climbs. How it changed you.
Oh, I think every climb changes you. I think
Hmm.
that's one of the reasons why we go to the mountain, right? Is you go to the
Yeah.
mountain and you just get all this quiet time. You get this time in nature. You really get to spend time with yourself. You're pursuing a goal and you start to strip away things that aren't authentic to you. So for
Yeah.
me, every mountain climb has been amazing, some kind of lesson. Sometimes we summited, sometimes we didn't, but it was just more about the journey and truly the people that show up at the different locations. That's
Yeah.
what makes them the most memorable.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me about some of these people that you met, and were they seasoned, and did they have some great wisdom to share?
Yeah, every expedition is different. So when you do big mountains like Everest or K2, you have a big base camp. Big mountains take big teams, lots of people, lots of logistics. When you do the smaller mountains, like the ones in Australia, I did them with a photographer, and that was it, right? Like,
Right.
so nobody there. And
Uh-huh.
it's fun because mountaineering is a sport that's global. So it's very rare that you have a team of all Americans. It's a lot of different people from different places. And like you said, you just get exposed to different trip ideas or different ways of doing things. Or I
Yeah.
remember going to Nepal for the first time and I
Hmm.
climbed Ama Dablam, which is a mountain, one of the most photogenic ones in the world.
Hmm.
And it was just really interesting to be there during Halloween, right? So
Ah.
I had my whole house decorated with pumpkins and ghosts and towels and like plates and like so
Yeah.
much stuff, right? Pillows and everything. And then I came home from the climb and my mom was boxing up all of our Halloween decor and pulling
Hmm.
out all the Thanksgiving decor. And I'm
Right.
like, we're getting rid of this stuff. Like, we spend way too much time setting this up, taking it down, paying for storage, like all this stuff where we could just be
Yeah.
spending this time with each other. In Nepal,
Uh,
they just don't have all that commercialism that says you
mm,
need to have turkeys on your pillows or you need ghosts on your pillows or whatever, and you swap them out on the season. And so for me, it
yeah.
was very much learning how to have less and enjoy
Uh,
more.
yeah. Minimize and honestly, you look at people like that. People all over the world. You can be happy anywhere that you
Yes.
are,
Yes.
right? And you
Yeah.
just have to choose it, no matter what your circumstances are.
Right. I mean, you
Yeah.
miss things. Like I missed the refrigerator where I could open the fridge and have choices, right? Every day your
Sure.
meals were planned for you, so you lost choice. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I lived out of a backpack for 2 weeks and you come home to a closet full of stuff. Like, we don't need all
Yeah.
this stuff. Let's get rid of it. This is just like clutter.
Right. Okay. So when you're going on a trip, it takes you away from your family for a little bit. Like about 2 weeks. Is that kind of usually how long you'd be away?
Yeah, my longest expedition was 3 weeks because Everest just takes time to acclimatize and
Hmm.
do it and it's far away. But most of my expeditions are a week. Um,
Yeah.
I don't like to be gone longer than that if I can make that happen.
Yeah. And you said your mom comes over quite often. Does she come and help you? Or do you have a lot of help that comes to help with the kids and stuff?
Yeah, so I have a full-time nanny that has
Okay.
been with us since my son was born. So she's been with us for
Wow.
18 years. So she really
Wow.
does all the things that keep the back end in the house working. And then when I go on
Hmm.
these trips, my mom and dad fly out to help out. And so
Okay.
and I try to go on the longer expeditions when my kids are at summer camp. So they'll go to a
Okay.
camp for a month or something like that. And so then it feels like they're gone, not that I'm gone.
Got it.
The nice thing is when you know that you're going to be gone, you're more intentional about your time before you leave. And
Sure.
so I would always try to strategically place them after we spent a week together on a spring break or whatever else I could to make sure they always knew they are at the forefront.
How old are your kids?
So right now I have a 19-year-old and I go down to 13.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
And
So I'm a mom of
7 of them.
teenagers.
Wait a
Yes.
minute. Do you have some twins in there?
I have a set of twins. So I have
Okay.
19, 18, well, here, 19, 17, 16, 15, 14, and then twin 13s.
That's incredible. So
Uh,
that's like almost every year you were
Yes.
having a baby during that
Yes. Yes. Yes.
time.
Yes. I did
Yeah.
fertility treatment. So I had embryos. So I went till the
Got
embryos were
it.
gone.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. But that makes it really busy. I guess it's nice because you can have them all kind of doing the same thing at the same time. They're all interested in Disney at the same time and wanting to go to, theme parks or whatever at the same time. So that's kind of
Yeah.
fun.
No, it's actually been a
Yeah.
blessing. It's hard. I mean,
Yeah.
it was way harder when they were younger, but it's fun because
Hmm.
there's so many choices for them to have somebody to hang out with because they're into the same stuff.
Right, right. Well, and that's what I always say too. I've got 6 kids, and I always say, well, at least one of them's going to like me at some
Yes.
point. So, right,
It's a
gives me
good
better
insurance
odds.
policy.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Make sure somebody's going to take care of me when I'm really old. So,
I
it's
love
all
it.
good. Yeah, really cool. Okay, so tell me a little bit more about the car accident that you were in, kind of what happened, and then what the aftermath of that. Like, how long were you in recovery before you started being able to hike mountains and everything?
Yeah, so I collided with a semi truck on December 18 of 2018, which is exactly one
Okay.
week before Christmas.
Wow.
Went end over end 3 times, rolled a whole bunch of times sideways, and ended up upside down in the median. And
Wow.
I just remember watching the car collide with the semi truck and thinking,
Okay.
okay, God, like, please let me live. This is going to get ugly. And I
Yeah.
promise I'll do something significant if you do with my life. Right.
Yeah.
And then I just had this very calm experience. It was super fast externally, but internally, I was like, I'm going to roll over one more time. I'm going to roll over one more time. Like 30 seconds felt like 30 years, and a lot of memories flash forward and ideas and whatever.
Yeah.
And when the police officers and the ambulances came, I had to be pulled out of the windshield and we went to the hospital and I was unscathed. Like they have no idea how. If you saw this car, you were like, no one's alive. And even the police officer said when we pulled up, we're like, okay, we're gonna have a dead person here right before Christmas. This is terrible. And that was not
Yeah.
my story. I actually left the hospital the same day. I
Wow.
remember going to the where they towed the car and, like, then I started crying because I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm here. Like, how amazing is this life? What a gift it
Yeah.
is." And then I went down to the dealership and they gave me car key I bought a new car. And the
Hmm.
insurance company's like, "Well, we're not promising that we're gonna total this car." I'm like, "I promise you the car's totaled. So I'm gonna buy a new
Yeah.
one. We'll work out the details later, but whatever." And I
Uh-huh.
remember getting the keys from the car, and all of a sudden I was like, "Oh my gosh, I have to drive again." Because I took an
Yeah.
Uber to the dealership. And so I sat in that car for like 45 minutes contemplating, How am
Yeah,
I going to
because that
drive
would be
again?
traumatic, like having this accident and then walking, like going to drive again. I
Yeah.
can't
Yeah. I
imagine.
was like, oh my gosh, I
Oh,
don't know if I'm ready. And I'm like, well, I have to be ready. Like, what's going to make
yeah.
me ready? I'm either ready now, like, ready's a decision. Like, I have to be ready. Right. So, like, I was
Wow.
contemplating in the car. And finally, the guy that sold me the car came out and he was like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I just forgot, like, I have to drive and I'm going to go on the highway and blah, 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 blah. And he's like, well, do you want me to help? And I'm like, no, I'm fine. And so I pulled out and I was sweating profusely. I was listening to like my favorite song on the radio. Anytime I get next to a semi truck, I go as far over in the lanes as possible.
Yeah.
I'm like 30 minutes from the dealership, so not even that far. And I remember getting home and being like, I need to take a shower and just reset because my nervous system is amped.
Shot.
And it took me
Yeah.
like 6 months of driving before I could drive without having my heart in my like throat.
Yeah, no kidding. Wow. This is a thing. It comes down to choice, right? Because you could have just called somebody to come and drive you home and then said, I'm not going to drive for 6 months, right?
Right.
And then it becomes a year and then it becomes 6 years and you're sitting in your house because you can't do anything. But instead, you chose to just get in the driver's seat and just go. And it sounds like that's kind of been the force for your life, is just to get up and go. We're about halfway through this episode of the Sendy Mom Podcast. Our mission at Sendy Mom is to build, lift, encourage, persuade, and inspire women to live fearlessly. If this conversation with Jenn has inspired you, share it with someone. Together, we can flood the world with real, positive messages of strength and courage and help others realize that they are not alone. Help me by sharing this episode, reviewing it, and liking it. Find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and online at sendymom.com. There is way too much negativity out there. Let's do more to encourage and inspire. My next guest is Rachel Lark. Rachel went from nursing in the ICU, ER, and mental hospital to a thriving at-home business. Tune into the next episode to hear how to shape your own life instead of letting life happen to you. I'm also planning another tea party on Wednesday, February 11th at 10 o'clock. I'd love to plan a few Sendy activities at this tea party. If you have some ideas, let me know. Let me know if you need my address by emailing me at becky@sendymom.com. You can find dates and times of all the Sendy Mom tea parties and other events online at sendymom.com. Sign up if you are interested. I will send out information as we prepare for the events. Take the first step to make new friends and just send it. Everyone is welcome. To receive an update every time a new episode is added and for special bonus content, you can subscribe at sendymom.com totally free. Check out my blog there that accompanies each of the episodes along with ideas for sending things you can try, book recommendations, and other media recommendations for my guests. You can also find out how you can be on the Sendy Mom podcast. Jenn is generous, kind, and inspiring. Thank you for joining us on this conversation. Be sure to listen to the end for an offer just for listeners of this podcast. You won't want to miss out on what helps Jenn to stay centered when the world is moving in chaos. Okay, so as you have been looking at all of these mountains, are there any of them that were more difficult than, well, I'm sure there were. Like Everest is huge, but it may not have been the most technical climb that you had. So tell me about some of these other mountains that you did
Yeah, I say
climb.
Everest is the most famous, right? Because it's the
Mm-hmm.
tallest mountain in the world. By no means is it the hardest. I wish it was because then all the other ones would
Yeah.
have been really easy, but that's not the case. They're
Mm-hmm.
difficult in different ways, if that makes sense. So for me, Mount Logan, which is the second highest point in North America, was the most physically demanding mountain.
Where is Mount Logan?
So Mount Logan is located in Canada. It's
Got
off
it.
the coast of like the Gulf of Alaska. And so
Mm-hmm.
you have to enter from Canada, even though it'd be closer to enter from Alaska. It's just their rules.
Okay.
And it's one of the largest land mountains in the world. And you get dropped off by an airplane on the glacier. And then you have to carry all your gear, right? Like all the
Yeah.
fuel to melt the snow, all of the stuff the tents, the pots and pans to cook food, like everything. And you're
Uh-huh.
not allowed Sherpas or helpers.
Right.
And so you carry a whole bunch of weight in your backpack, and then you carry the rest of the weight in sleds. And when you set up a tent, you have to build an igloo around the tent because the winds are so strong that they'll rip the tent. And if you
My
rip the tent, you're
gosh.
dead because that's what's protecting you from the elements. And it's crazy
Yeah.
that like that nylon wall can be that protective, but it truly is. And
Yeah.
so for that one, it's just so much weight. It's such a long distance. And
Yeah.
there's a spot on that mountain where you go to 16,000 feet, you go up to 18,000 feet, you go back down to 16,000 feet to go up to the 19,000 feet for the summit. And so,
Wow.
like, you have this little mountain in the middle that you have to go over. And once you go over that mountain in the middle, you don't have rescue service anymore. The helicopters can't get there to
Can't
make
get
it to
there.
you. And so you
Wow.
have to really calculate how's the weather, how's my fuel, how's everything doing? Are we able to get over there and get back because rescue's not coming? And
Right.
so it's just a different mindset, and it was very physically demanding. It took me 2 times. So the first
Wow.
time we went, the weather was too harsh and it wasn't working. And
Uh-huh.
so we aborted the mission. And then the second time we went, we actually went with less people so
Okay.
that we only had to build 1 igloo every time. Because if you have 2 tents, you have to build 2 igloos, and that just takes up too many calories, too much energy, and it slows you down. And
Right.
you need to like work against as much as you can. So that one took 2 tries, and that one was
Uh-huh.
a hard mountain. And
Yeah.
then Dykh-Tau in Russia was hard, which is the second highest point in Europe. And I don't know fully if it was hard because they lost all my gear, and it's a pretty technical climb.
Oh,
And so I had to
wow.
climb in rental gear. And,
Oh,
like, so nothing's
wow.
fitting. Like,
Yeah.
I have a backpack that we're tying because we can't get it small enough to fit my shoulders. We have sleeves on jackets that we're rolling up because the
Oh my
jacket's too
goodness.
big. I have boots that I'm wearing 3 pairs of socks in, sometimes 4 because that's the closest size they had to my foot. And so you just like everything's sloppy, right? You take a step and then you're
Yeah.
sliding in the boot, and like you take a step and the backpack swinging. And so it was
Uh-huh.
very hard from that standpoint, and it's a technical climb. Like, you ice climb on it, you rock climb on it. You have
Wow.
to trigger avalanches because there's a whole bunch of snow that falls every single day to make sure that you don't fall in that avalanche. And so that
Yeah.
one was hard too because they didn't speak English very well, the guide. And so he would grunt or he would yell, and it always felt like I was getting yelled at. I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't, like, so the entire time I had to check myself and be, no, he's not yelling. That's him being nice. He doesn't speak English.
Yeah.
And it was challenging,
Well,
right? Like,
and
it
that's the
wasn't
thing
easy.
too, is like there, it's different cultures and the way that they express themselves is very different. That's one thing. My son and my daughter-in-law lived in Russia for a little while, and that's one of the things they say is like we think they're being very rude, but this is actually a very polite way of speaking. So it's
Yeah.
just you have to understand that the differences in the culture. So that's got to be, and we think that we are all human, right? We're all part of the human race, but we have very different ways of interacting with each other.
Very
So,
different ways of interacting with each other. And here you are, like, I'm in a terrifying situation that already has
yeah,
everybody's nervous system escalated. I'm in rental gear. We don't speak the same language. Like,
yeah.
there's a point where your body's just like, ah. So that one was challenging. K2 is hard.
Yeah.
K2 is one of the deadliest mountains in the world. It has a reputation. I had to go do it twice. The first time I
Hmm.
did it, a teammate of mine died in an avalanche, which you read about, but then to have it happen that close to home and somebody on your
Yeah.
team. And so then we ended the expedition, and now I had to come back. Right? So you have this
Wow.
memory of
Yeah.
failure and this struggle and this setback, and you're like, am I being egotistical by going back here? Like, this isn't, at the
Yeah.
time, the stats have gotten better, but at the time, like 25% of the people that climbed K2 died in its pursuit. I'm like, okay, well,
Wow.
I'm going back for a second time. I have 7 kids at home. Like, what's going to happen?
Right.
So your mind starts to play tricks on you again with that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. But I got it
Yeah.
the second time, but not like a freebie. I mean, I got anthrax
Yeah.
while I was there because I got sneezed on by a donkey or something. We have no idea, but farm
What?
animals carry anthrax, and my immune
Goodness.
system was compromised because I got giardia while we were hiking in,
Oh my
and it set
gosh.
up a home in my digestive system. So then we thought it was just giardia and we weren't getting ahead of it. And then when I got
Yeah.
back to the United States and I had lost like 20 pounds, we were running every single test. And then finally the doctor said, were you by farm animals in a third world country? I'm like, no, I wasn't by
Mm.
farm animals. I was climbing a mountain. And I'm like, no, actually, we hiked farm animals in, or farm animals carried our stuff. He's like, okay, now
Yeah.
we know to run a different test. And when they
Huh.
ran that other test, they're like, you have anthrax. I'm like, I thought that was like a chemical that you licked on an envelope, right?
Right. Yeah,
And he's like,
exactly.
no, it's actually a natural occurring bacteria, especially in third
Yeah.
world countries. And
Huh.
he's like, normally it's not going to attack you, but if your system's compromised and it sets up shop, then it could happen.
Wow.
And so, yeah, like the adventures have been just crazy.
Yeah. So what about altitude sickness? Did you ever have any problems with that? How did you mitigate that?
Yeah, I got really lucky. Altitude sickness, it was not really something that I struggled with. I'm going to
Okay.
knock on wood because I don't want it to show up, because it can
Right.
show up at any time. Like I went to do Denali this past summer and my
Uh-huh.
guide got altitude sickness. My guide's done Denali plenty of times. And this year he got
Interesting.
altitude sickness and had to be helicoptered off. And so my expedition was cut short.
Yeah. But you take Diamox or something like
I don't
that
take
to
any of those drugs.
nothing. That's
Mm-mm.
crazy. What about, okay, so oxygen though at the top for some of them or not?
Yeah, for a K2 and Everest, you do oxygen.
Yeah, you kind of have to. Okay.
You could
Yeah.
like acclimatize longer, but then that just meant I was away from my family longer and it didn't quite fit my value
Yeah.
system.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I mean, even at Kilimanjaro, we kind of had a little bit of of altitude sickness. So yeah, lucky
Okay.
that you guys
Yes.
did it. So that's pretty awesome. And the reason why you don't have Sherpas or anything on North America is because it's illegal, right? Is that
Right.
correct?
Right.
Yeah. So you just basically have to build a team of people that want to go. Is that right? Is
Yeah,
that
well,
how
you
you do
build, I
it?
mean, not just want to go, but that complement your skill sets, right? So
Okay.
I'm 5'5" and 115 pounds. I doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter if I gain 5 pounds, I'm not going to carry that much more weight because you don't want to carry more than 80% of your body weight.
Got
And
it.
so
Yeah.
gear adds up. Like even if you buy the lightest stuff in the whole world, it still adds up. And so for me, I know when I build these teams, it's like I have to have somebody that's big and strong on my
Mm-hmm.
team to compensate for me being small and not so strong.
Got
And so
it.
then like
Okay.
I can melt water and I can like dig out holes and I can do things like that, but carrying a huge load up the mountain is not going to give me a chance of success. It's going to exhaust me too fast,
Yeah. So
right?
did you do some because you had never slept in a tent before. Did you do some practice climbs ahead of time? Is that kind of what your coach helped you to do, is develop some kind of a gradual increase in
Yeah,
elevation?
like you do, right? That's like anything. You start and say, okay,
Mm-hmm.
here's all the skills that I need to have. Here's where I'm at today. How am I going to close the gap on those skills? So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, I'm taking my sons to ski Mont Blanc in April. And so we have to skin up that and do all these different things. So I'm looking
Uh-huh.
at them and being like, what skills do they need? They need to know how to use like an avalanche beacon. They need to
Yeah.
know how to transition their gear. They need to know how to walk in crampons. They need to know how to ski with a weighted backpack on. Like, so you start making all these little things of what they need to know how to do. And then you build that into the plan. So by the time we're there, they're set up for success.
Yep. And you had never rock climbed or ice climbed or anything like that before all of this,
None of
right?
it. None of it.
That's
None of it.
incredible, Jen. That is amazing. Like, so, and how old were you when this happened?
So my first mountain climb was when I was 40. The car accident happened when I was 38. 2019, which when I was 39 was like my year of the bucket list. Why am I here? Why was I saved? What am I supposed to be doing with this life that I have? And then 40, I started the pursuit. And then, yeah. And I thought we
I
had the
love
world
that.
record at 43, like so June 1
Uh-huh.
of 2023. We
Yeah.
thought we were done. And then Guinness World Record said there's a dispute on what's a continent. I'm like, what?
What?
Yeah. So they're like, we actually want you to climb 2 more mountains just to cover every version of anybody's interpretation of what a continent is. And so
Oh,
Indonesia sometimes comes under Australia instead of Asia. And if
okay.
Indonesia comes under Australia, then the second highest point's in Indonesia, not Australia. So then I went to
Wow.
Indonesia and climbed there. And then with the geopolitical issues with Russia and Europe, they had me climb Mount Rosa in Switzerland to exclude Russia from Europe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's interesting. So you actually did
I
nine
did
of them.
9. Yes.
That's crazy. Well, and then plus, are you currently like trying to get all of the summits or like the top summits, or have you
Yeah.
already?
So right now, so I have the world record as the first and only woman to climb the seconds. And so in
Uh-huh.
2026, I have a couple expeditions planned where I'd be the first and only woman to climb all the first and all the seconds. So I'm going
Oh,
back to cycle on a couple I have 3 mountains left and I'll have those done.
okay.
And so I'm like, okay, well, I might as well do that. So that's what I'm going to go do.
Okay, so and you just went on one, right? Did you just finish one up or
I was in Denali in June and we did not have success. And
okay.
so this next year, I'm going to do Mont Blanc, which is the highest point in Europe if you exclude Russia. And I'm actually going to bring
Okay.
my sons to do that with me. So we're going to
And
train together.
you're
We're
skinning up?
skinning. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's going to be
Okay.
a big day.
That's
We have some
awesome.
serious training ahead of us. And then they're going
Yeah.
to fly home and I'm going to fly over to Russia and get Everest done in Russia just because I don't want them to deal with Russia right now with everything that's going on there.
Sure.
And then I'll
Yeah.
come back. I'll be home for about a month. And then I'm going to go do Denali again. But this time I'm
Uh-huh.
going to do it without a guide. Because I'm like, I've been on the mountains long enough for enough years. I know enough people up there. If I get into trouble, I'll have help. So I'm building a team to do Denali. And then I'm going to go back
Okay.
to Kilimanjaro. I've already done it, but I'm going back to
Uh-huh.
Kilimanjaro in August, bringing a few of my kids that haven't done it yet. So 3 of my kids
Uh-huh.
have, 4 of them haven't. So I'm going to bring a group of people to Kili in August. So I think we're going to add a couple others
Wow.
just to make it fun.
Oh, that's awesome. I made some really amazing friends over there with our porters were incredible and
Incredible.
just,
Like it's the
yeah.
best mountain. Like Kilimanjaro is the best mountain to climb because one, it's attainable. There's not really
Mm.
any like terrain risk,
Yeah,
right?
not technical at all.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
technical at all. And the people, like their enthusiasm and their excitement for life just bleeds into you. And so for
Yeah.
me, it's a really good experience for kids to have. So
Mhm.
I'm putting together a trip for people to join us and do that in August.
Ooh, okay. I may have to hit you up on that one. Yeah. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the homeschooling because are you currently homeschooling your kids?
I am not. So I did when they were younger because
Okay.
there was just too many little people to get everywhere. And I wasn't going to bring them to a preschool for 2.5 hours and just be in the
Right.
car the entire time driving it back and forth. And so
Hmm.
I homeschooled. I had a very unique situation though, in the fact that I bought a house behind me that wasn't
Okay.
in the neighborhood, but backed up to the neighborhood. And we
Uh-huh.
turned that into a schoolhouse. So my kids could drive their little Power
Uh,
Wheels and drive
oh,
themselves to
cute.
school, right?
Yeah.
And then I hired a Montessori teacher and she had an assistant and they did like the chickens and the rain gardens and all that kind of stuff. And it
Uh,
was a super fun experience. But that was when we were back in Michigan. And so when
okay.
we moved to Park City, Utah, it was okay, let's get them in school so they have friends and they can meet
Okay.
people and all that kind of stuff. And then everybody loved the social aspect of it. I'm like, well, I guess this
Right.
is what we're doing right now.
Yeah, exactly. And things change as you go through
They
life,
do. They totally
figuring
change.
out. I mean, my kids went to, well, because we've lived on 3 different continents, and so we've and different states and things like that. And every place that we had an experience with education was good. They did not learn everything because you can't teach a child everything,
You
right?
can't.
You have to
Right,
pick and
right.
choose. And so I am really grateful for the teachers who take their passion, whatever it is, and they put that into my child. But I don't expect them to put everything. So when we were in Australia, I felt like my kids' handwriting got so much better because they do not, emphasize that here in the States very much, which
Right, right, right.
right or wrong, it doesn't really matter. I just want my kids learning stuff, right? That is the most important thing. If they can learn to love to learn, I think that is definitely the most important thing. So yeah, so I think that's really good.
I love it.
Well, we should talk about all of your speaking engagements and
Yeah.
the things that you do as a professional to help other people to reach their potential.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I love speaking on stages, just the energy exchange and the story of going
Uh-huh.
from this vision to victory, right? And we all
Right.
have that, and being able to reinvent at any age and just saying, okay, I don't know how to do this, and I will figure it out. And this is what it looks like figuring it out, right?
Yeah.
So I really enjoy that. Most companies hire me for either that vision to victory concept or setback to summit. What happens
Okay.
when you have these setbacks or these obstacles? How do you overcome them? And what does it look like to continue to climb? So that's super fun. One of my favorite things to do, though, is really I host events in Park City. and
Ah,
we'll do these
okay.
like rest and recovery type things. So we'll unplug from the world and plug into ourselves and do some hikes and then do cold plunge and sauna and red light beds and have good
Mm-hmm.
meals and just take a little time to be human, right? Human beings
Yeah.
instead of human doings. I'm very
Right.
outdoor focused by all means because it's involving me. And then also doing the expeditions, right? So
Yeah.
on Kilimanjaro, we have spots to take 7 people with us. So
Uh,
we'll go do that and open that up for people. When corporate comes into Park City to do events, a lot of times they'll hire me to take their group out on a hike in the afternoon just to get them outside for a little bit.
okay. All right. Yeah. Planning recreation. That is totally up my
Yes.
alley too. I love that.
So
That's
good.
awesome.
Yes.
Good stuff. Well, good. Well, I will just, unless I forgot something, I'm going to go ahead and go to the rapid fire questions. So
Okay,
I've
perfect.
got a few questions for you. So the first one is, what has brought you joy in the last 24 hours?
Oh, putting everybody in school this morning. Okay, we had a
Yay.
long holiday weekend with
Yeah,
everybody here, and I'm like, "Oh, the house and I both need a little bit of a rest to recharge." So,
I
this
know.
morning when everybody left, I'm like, "We have a few minutes to just be."
Yeah, I love, when my house is empty, sometimes I'll like turn on the music and I'll just dance and I'll sing. I'm like, I'm at home, I'm alone. This is
Yes,
awesome.
yes,
I love
yes.
that. That's great. Okay, what about a great book that you've read recently?
Oh, I am reading one right now because I'm going to an event where the person is speaking. So when someone
Okay.
speaks, I always try to listen to their book ahead of time. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually pretty controversial. It's called The
Okay.
Value of Others by Orion Taraban, and it
Okay.
talks about relationships and his
Okay.
view of a relationship or whatever. And so it's fun because I don't necessarily agree with what he's saying, but because I
Uh-huh.
get to meet him in person and we get to have a Q&A session, am like taking notes to be like, well, how do you come up with that perspective? And what do you think? And yeah,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
books that like challenge my thought process keep me excited.
Yeah, exactly. We need to have a little bit more of that actually, like that curiosity and understanding. I have one daughter who's married, who has like they're not super different ideas, but we definitely come from a different perspective of things. And we love chatting about it and trying to just understand each other. And hopefully she loves it. I don't know. I like it. Maybe
Yeah.
she feels like a challenge, but I think that's important. They need to learn to feel
No,
like they
I
can
know. I'm
debate
like, wow,
things,
what makes a
right?
human have this like perspective? I'm curious, not in a
Yeah.
judgy way, like this is interesting. And so this
Yeah.
book has been challenged me on some of my thought processes, which I appreciate.
Yeah. No, it's good. And good to understand about having human relationships anyway. So,
Yeah.
what about a charity or nonprofit that you support?
Mountain Mamas is in
Okay.
Utah, and their mission is to get moms outdoors, whether it's your first time or you did it before you had kids, but it's just getting women returning to nature.
Dang, I got to join this group. That's awesome.
It's so
Love
good, and
that.
they do all these little adventures, and it's everything from, like, hiking to paddleboarding to mountain biking to skiing to whatever, and it's pretty much
Okay.
like, hey, if you have something you wanna do and you're not sure how to do it or where to get started, they'll
Yeah.
connect you with somebody that will help you do it.
Oh my gosh, that is perfect. I am totally going to look into that and I'm going to promote that one because we need to get outside more often.
Yes.
So that's
Yes.
amazing. Okay. What about, oh, this will be an interesting one. What about a favorite vacation spot?
I think it's, like, the people you're with or the stage that everybody's in, right?
Right.
So one
Uh-huh.
of my favorite vacation spots is Bonaire. It's
Oh,
like, one of the ABC islands.
yeah.
I
We're
have
actually going in like 2 weeks. I'm
to
going with
Bonaire?
to Bon Air. Yeah.
Oh
We're
my
taking
gosh.
my whole family. We're going scuba diving. It's going to be
Yes.
amazing.
It's perfect for scuba diving because and
Yeah.
so all my kids scuba dive and it's one of the only things you can do where it doesn't pay off to be better, faster, or quicker than somebody else, right? It's like,
Yeah.
hey, we're gonna do this together and whatever you see is cool. And so
Hmm.
it's super good friendly for little people because they can't dive that deep based on their licenses. Um,
Right.
there's this fun thing at the end of the island, you have to do this, where
Okay.
you go sailing on land. So they have these little
What?
sailboats that have
Okay.
wheels underneath them and you race on a track.
No way.
Oh my God, it's
Okay.
the best ever. And you have
W-
to book like right when you get there, you have to book it because it can sell out. So
Okay.
that's super
Yeah.
fun. There, we did this like cave experience where you got to see all these bats because bats are, we
Okay.
did a donkey experience, which I don't love donkeys, but my little girls did. So that's why we did there. But
Uh-huh.
the diving is so good. And one of the dinners where you go on the boat and you eat a fancy dinner out in the whatever, it was just
Uh-huh.
enough cool things to do to stay entertained for a week.
Uh-huh.
And my kids loved it and the dives were great. And so I thought it was a fun vacation that was easy.
That's amazing. Okay, no, I'm super excited now. I'm glad that you said that. So I'm going to have to hold you afterwards for a minute
Yeah.
to talk about it and get some ideas. So that's awesome. Okay, so what about, okay, name one thing that you try to do every day.
Pause. I really
Mm,
try to just take little times out, like micro pauses, micro meditations, micro prayers, whatever you want to call them. But for
yeah.
me, life can get moving fast. And so when and I can get used to that energy and then I like fiend for that
Yeah.
energy. I'm like, no, 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 this is not how I want to show up. I want to pause. I want to be connected to myself and not be on autopilot. So for me,
I,
pausing is very
yeah.
important.
Oh, I totally agree. I'm kind of the same way. So high energy all the time. People say that, that, oh, you're so busy. And I really don't love that. I'm like, I'm productive. I'm super productive, but I do try to deliberately take the time out to be still.
Yeah.
I think that's super important. So love that. That's really good. All right. What do you think I should try next?
Ooh, what are you into? Like
I don't
what gets you
know.
excited?
I do all of it. Like I love the hiking. I'm a mountain biker. I'm a skier. I like scuba diving now. We do that. And yeah, but you've
Have
been
you
to
been to
so many
Cape Town,
places.
South Africa?
No, never been to South Africa.
I would go to South
Yeah.
Africa. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if
Okay.
I tried to convince my kids to move there. I'm like, let's just go for a year and
Really?
move there for a year. It's absolutely amazing. It looks
Uh-huh.
like Kauai, but the weather's not the
Oh,
same as Kauai. It is
okay.
stunning. The people are so friendly. They're so
Okay.
excited you're there. You can do amazing hikes. You can do amazing, like little easy safaris. You get to help, like we helped out at a elephant refuge for a few days. We helped at a cheetah refuge for a few days, and it was just really
Cool.
cool experiences.
Yeah. And you took your whole family over
I
there?
took actually, so when my kids turn 10, I take them on a private adventure wherever they want to go in the world. And when
Uh-huh.
the twins turned 10, they wanted to go there because they love cheetahs and elephants. And
That's
so like it was the only
amazing.
place I could do both of those like both those animals. So I did their trip together and I tried to convince the rest of my family to go there. And they're like, we're not going to South Africa, Mom. We love our friends here. But it's
Uh,
such a fun place to go. It's super cheap when you're from the United States, which makes
Uh-huh.
it even more fun, right? I don't know. It's great.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Okay, I'm going to totally look into that. I love traveling, so yeah, and meeting lots of new people and just seeing the way that people do things in the world is awesome. So that's really good.
Amazing.
Well, if people wanted to find you, where would they find you?
Yeah, tell them to come to jenndrummond.com and you can find everything there. I give everybody that listens to this episode this cool video that I have. So if you text the word Everest to the number
Okay.
33777, you will get this video of the Milky Way galaxy going over Everest Base Camp. And anytime my
Oh,
life gets wild or overwhelmed or like I feel crazy, I'll take a little time out and I'll watch that video. And it just helps put life in perspective and remind myself, like, I'm this little human on this little planet. We're okay.
yeah. Yeah, that's like one of my favorite things to do is to remember like I'm not special. I'm a normal person. I don't have to be anything major. I'm just going to like take it one day at a time and have a great life,
Yes,
Just take it all
100%.
in. That's really
Perfect.
good. Well, thank you so much for being with me on the podcast. This has been incredible. Like I think, Jenn, that you're one of these people that is just, you inspire others to be the best version of themselves
Oh,
and very accommodating and generous. And I really appreciate that. It's been really fun to get to know you. So thank you
the
for being
same.
here.
Well, thank you very, very
Yes.
much. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too. Thank you. In the words of Eleanor Roosevelt, do something every day that scares you.